Good evening and welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Sahuarita Unified School District Governing Board. Please stand and join us in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We will move into the roll call. Ms. Palacios.
Governing Board President Denise Reese. Here. Governing Board Clerk Dr. John Sparks.
Present.
Governing Board Member Anthony Bruno.
Present.
Governing Board Member Amy Petersmark.
Present.
Governing Board Member Raul Rodriguez. Absent. District Administration Superintendent Dr. Manuel Valenzuela.
Present.
Chief Financial Officer Lisette Huey.
Here.
Assistant Superintendent Darlene Robinson.
Present.
Assistant Superintendent Scott Downs.
Here.
Thank you very much. And really quickly for the audience, Mr. Rodriguez will not be joining us this evening because he is receiving an award at work. And so we congratulate Mr. Rodriguez on that honor for this evening. Moving on to the approval of the agenda, Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. President Reese, members of the board, at this time I do recommend approval of the agenda as it was revised.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to the approval of the minutes. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. President Reese, members of the board, you have in your packet draft copies of the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting back on February 26th. And after review and consideration, I do recommend approval at this time.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will move on now to the superintendent reports. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese. It seems like we were just here. I think it's because we were. This is the time of year where we have back-to-back meetings. So my report is a little bit abbreviated, but nonetheless substantive in that there's always ample evidence of success in our community and among our programs and among our students. I believe Amber has there the 2025 Teachers of the Year. Those are the teachers that were identified by each of our schools and will be in our comprehensive program to recognize teachers and to select the representatives that we will have in the State Arizona Teacher of the Year competition. I also am pleased to report that this Sunday we will be sending a group of 40 students to Paris, France to study art. And I think Mrs. Huey's going with them, so they'll be in great hands and they'll have the money. Super exciting. And you know what? So, seriously, I never cease to, I don't have to look very hard to find examples of our community, our staff, our students shining really, really brightly. Last weekend, our Walden Grove Academic Decathlon team, for the second year in a row, won the Arizona State Academic Decathlon Championship, and they're headed to the United States National Academic Decathlon Championships in Des Moines, Iowa, I believe at the end of next month. So we're just super proud, and this recipe of community and collaboration and working together and working as a community to give the best of ourselves to these young people is continuing to yield much fruit, and it makes me very joyful and very happy. So that is my report, and I'll turn it back over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the governing board reports. Dr. Sparks.
I do agree with Dr. Valenzuela. I think we were here like a week ago, and I think there's a whole bunch of people here who are really excited about awards. So I will keep my words short, but hope everybody has a wonderful spring break.
Yeah.
You know, I was realizing this is the first time in many years it's aligned with the University of Arizona. So in my house, all my kids are on the same week for the first time in years. So that's kind of cool. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Bruno.
I'm going to say I have no report today. I just gave one a week ago.
To the day.
All right. Mrs. Petersmark.
Yes, ma'am. There's a couple of things. So, as Dr. Valenzuela said, ACDEC And I wanted to recognize their sponsor, Mr. Borgia. He's incredible. If any of your children want to take Mr. Borgia's class, I would highly recommend any of his classes. Just incredible. They're such a treat. So kudos to them and all the students. It was fantastic. Spring sports have started already. Volleyball, Walden SHS was last night. Great game, great support there. Please come out to the spring sports and support all the students everywhere. So much fun. If you can take a moment to enjoy those. And then just a shout out, because we won't be here till April. Senior parents and students, strap on your seatbelt. I was in the same position last year, and the quarter's going to go so fast. Just enjoy every moment. And graduation is incredible. It's just something that you'll never forget. So get ready, coming up. And like John said, just have everybody have a wonderful spring break, and please be safe. And thanks for everything, all your support.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I will reiterate the same. I hope everyone has a happy and healthy spring break, and those traveling to Paris or anywhere else that you are traveling, that travel safe, and we'll see you back after the break is over. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and move on to recognition of community staff and students. And we do not have a community recognition tonight, but we do have our staff March team member, Dr. Valenzuela.
Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. And I want to, all kidding aside, I do want to thank you all for being here. With the really quick turnaround, I know that the selection, whether it's support staff or students or volunteers, the turning around, we usually try and give more notice. And so the fact that you're all here 2 days before spring break with everything else that's normally going on in the busy spring, it really is with much gratitude that we thank you for being here, because I know that our board very much values and appreciates the opportunity to recognize these outstanding people, adults, children, students, staff, who together make a transformational impact in this noble work that we do to educate our young people. So we will begin with our support staff team member of the month. And with that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Mr. Downs, and it looks like Dr. Sparks will do the honors today. Scott.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Valenzuela. It's my pleasure to always read these. We have over 800 employees in our organization. Half of them are support staff. And again, it's always hard to pick one person out of 400 because we have many, many great people. But it is my pleasure to read this nomination from Mrs. Cheryl McLaughlin, Director of Early Childhood Center. Ms. McLaughlin has nominated Mrs. Madeline Trejo as the Sahuarita Unified School District Support Staff Member of the Month. If you can come on down, Madeline. Madeline can always be counted on to assist where needed, whether that being lending her staff to a classroom or cleaning out the kitchen area or stepping into another teacher's role. She has a positive attitude when it comes to her classroom and makes sure that the kids have activities that are engaging. She treats all students as if they are her own, showing compassion and kindness. Madeline ensures that her classroom staff Madeline ensures that her classroom staff members are active participants in the classroom's daily activities by including their ideas and activities into their routines. Madeline is an exceptional employee. Parents love having her as their child's teacher. She runs a very safe, creative classroom with loads of hands-on experience for 3-year-olds. She shares her staff when we are short in other classrooms, and it's always looking for ways to improve things at the Early Childhood Center. Staff members look up to her for her guidance on lesson plans and discipline that allows her class to run smoothly. Again, Mrs. Madeline Trejo as the Sahuarita Unified School District Support Staff Member of the Month.
Thank you.
All right. Congratulations again. And then we'll move on to our volunteer awardee.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Valenzuela.
Thank you, President Reese, members of the board and public. You know, the renowned American educator Ernest Boyer said, "To be fully human, one must serve." And one of the greatest examples, one of the purest examples of service I can think of is to volunteer, to give of yourself and your time for the betterment of a cause. I can't think of any program, athletics, fine arts, academics, service, that is not impacted for the better by volunteers who give of themselves. And so it is an honor to recognize another outstanding volunteer. This is the Outstanding Volunteer of the Year. From which school is it?
Sahuarita Intermediate School.
Sahuarita Intermediate School. Mr. Downs, once again, please.
Yes, it is my pleasure to recognize Mr. Michael Patterson as the Volunteer of the Year for Sahuarita Intermediate School. Some kind words from Mrs. Sandra Steely, SIS librarian, and Mrs. Reina Lozano, library aide. Mr. Patterson is no stranger to service. A former U.S. Navy serviceman, he now dedicates his time to our community by volunteering at Sahuarita Intermediate School, where he has become a beloved member of our library team. His charisma and humor brighten our days. Mr. Patterson starts each day by warmly greeting the students and staff, making everyone feel welcome. He plays an essential role in facilitating the learning process by assisting with check-ins and check-outs, shelving books, and helping students with library assignments. His commitment to our library began last year when he helped with the end-of-the-year inventory, reading shelves, and reshelving books. This year, his support has been invaluable, especially when the library aide is pulled away to assist other students. He greets students as they enter, helps sort, return books, and continues to assist. His kindness and patience shine through as he works with students who need accommodations, offering encouragement with spelling, reading, and writing. His extra help has truly made a difference. Mr. Patterson volunteers 4 times a week and even lends a hand in Mrs. Lachey's classroom. He always stepped in to help during one of our Positive PAW Fun Days. We are so incredibly blessed and honored to have him as part of our SIS library team. He is truly amazing. Again, Mr. Patterson, Volunteer of the Year for Sahuarita Intermediate School.
Mr. Peterson. Michael, thank you so much.
And now we will move on to our student awardees this evening. Dr. Valenzuela.
Thank you very much, President Reese, members of the board and public. Again, one of our very special honors each month is to recognize our amazing young people. And in this case, one of the very special facts about this award is that it's about citizenship and character. And so I want to thank you, Mom, Dad, Nana, Tata, aunts, uncles, everybody you brought here tonight for the influence you have on your young people, your children, because you are first and foremost their first and their most important teachers. So obviously, as you've raised them, some of them are older than others, but throughout the journey, you've set an example and you've taught and modeled that character counts, that citizenship matters, and that it's part of the educational process and part of being the best people that they can be. So thank you for that. Your presence here exemplifies it, and it's our honor to recognize it. We select 1 or 2 from each school depending on the configuration of the school. We provide them with a nice certificate, a letter, a gift card as a token, as a tangible symbol. Of course, it's for books because we want to promote literacy. But in recognition and in partnership with our friends at Freeport McMoran and also at the Green Valley News and Sun, who will be honored to put these students in next week's edition of the Sahuarita Sun so that the whole community know what amazing youth we have in this community. Assistant Superintendent Robinson is over there. When your name is called, please come down. Dr. Sparks will present you with your award. You can shake our hands and proceed to Mrs. Robinson, who will position you up on the platform for the picture. We'll invite you to come down and take pictures, and then we will clap once again. Very deservedly so, I might add. So we begin with our leader in character from Sopery Elementary School, and our honoree this month is a 5th grader. Congratulations, Charlotte Vanderholtz. Charlotte. And I'll just say, given the whole 2 days before spring break thing, if we have a couple or a couple more that aren't here. We'll either get them their award or we'll invite them to come back to the next meeting. Good. We know where you're going, maybe, Dr. Spark. So we'll move on to Anza Trail, where the first Anza Trail, again, is a K-8, gets a middle school recognition and an elementary. The first one is the elementary honoree, who is a 5th grader. Congratulations, Julian Quintero. Julian. Congrats, Julian. Come on down. Everybody wants to shake your hand and congratulate you. Well done. And I will move on to our next leader in character from Anza Trail School. Congratulations, Jacob Mejia. Congratulations to Jacob. Well done. And we will now recognize our leader in character from Sahuarita Primary School. Congratulations, Ayani Colazo. I believe Principal Sines informed me that the leader in character from Sahuarita Intermediate was not going to be able to make it as well. But we'll recognize and clap for her. Her name is Doris Super. Doris! And we will move right along to the leader in character from Copperview Elementary School. Congratulations, Aviana Alcaraz. Good job. Congratulations to Aviana. And we will now move to Wrightson Ridge, where again we do 2, elementary and middle. And our elementary leader in character is a 4th grader named Reagan Woodard. Reagan. Good job. Keep up the good work, Reagan. And our middle school leader in character from Wrightson Ridge School is a 7th grader. Congratulations, Nazreen Hirenveen. Nazreen. Congratulations to you as well. And we now recognize another 7th grader, this time the leader in character from Sahuarita Middle School. Congratulations, Caleb Lopez. And now we move on to our high schools, beginning with Sahuarita High School, where it's my honor and pleasure to recognize their leader in character, Alexia Rodriguez. Okay. I was informed that Walden's was also not able to make it. Thank you, President Reese. Well, you know what? We're glad you're here. Then it is my pleasure to let you know that the leader in character from Walden Grove is here. And we are honored to recognize Israel Herrera. Israel. Congratulations, Israel. And we will round out this evening's recognitions for leader in character with the leader in character from Sahuarita Digital Pathways Academy, our fully accredited, fully online comprehensive school that has its own diploma, in case you didn't know. It is a really neat looking diploma too. And our student, although not a senior, is a junior. Congratulations, Sarah Solomon. Sarah! So proud of you, Sarah. Keep up the good work. How about a round of applause for all of them? One more time. Get up there and smile real good, because again, this is like a big display next week. Sarita Sun, Mrs. Woods will take your picture, and then mom, dad, family, if you want to come down and take a quick picture before they come down for your Facebook or your scrapbook or whatever, come on down. And after you're done, you're more than welcome to stay, but we understand you're busy and it's a busy time. You're more than welcome to leave as well. That's totally okay. And again, thank you so much for the amazing job you're doing with your amazing young people. We actually had a nice crowd. Dr. Sparks. You know. About what? Thank you.
For our viewers online, we are going to take a brief recess to deal with a particular issue, and then we will be back probably in about 5 minutes. Thank you. For bearing with us while we took care of that particular situation. So we are going to go ahead and move into call to the public then. Dr. Sparks.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So let me make sure I scroll down to the right thing so I read the right information. All right. So as a reminder, consideration and discussion of comments and concerns for the public. Those wishing to address the governing board may do so at this time or at the board's discretion at the time the item appears on the agenda. All speakers are requested to hold their comments to 2 minutes or less. 20 minutes will be allotted for both online and in-person comments. In accordance with Arizona meeting law, board members may not respond, comment, or ask questions of speakers regarding issues not on the agenda. Any comments not read during the agenda will be placed into the public record. Thank you
very much.
So the first person we have is Amanda Edwards. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Been a while. Yeah, thank you. So my name is Amanda Edwards. I have 2 children currently in Sahuarita School District. One in high school, he's a sophomore, and another one that's at Wrights and Ridge in middle school. We've been here for over 10 years. I love the school district in general. It's been great. I especially love Wrights and Ridge. I mean, Wrightson is amazing. I just always have to say that. For the most part, we love our teachers. You would have seen me earlier talking to my kids' past teachers just a few minutes ago. I absolutely love and appreciate teachers overall. Unfortunately, I am frustrated, and I do appreciate your time. I'm frustrated because it's just kind of come to my attention recently that there are teachers at both schools that are not returning graded work. So grades are getting put into Power School, and my children are not, and not just mine, other people's children also. I have friends who's having the same issues. They're not getting their work returned. And I will say in most cases, it's tests and quizzes. In this extreme case, it is like written work. I have now reached out and asked the teacher that in this case, he's not getting any work all year. Basically all year, almost all the work has not been returned. It's in Power School. There's nothing to back it up. I've asked the teacher. It's been over 2 weeks. I still have yet to get graded work back. I asked her for specific assignments. I have reached out to the principal. I have reached out to the assistant superintendent, who I haven't heard back from yet, but I did hear from the principal the other day. But in my mind, we shouldn't be having to chase teachers and email teachers. It shouldn't be up to the students and the parents to be asking teachers constantly for graded work or even to grade things in a timely manner. Getting your work back is a part of how you learn. When you see how something is, corrected, that's a part of learning because you want to know how you did and you want to know how you can improve yourself. And parents want to know too. If my kid is struggling, I want to know why. I want to be able to help them. And I don't think that's too much to ask. And I've been asking, what is the policy for returning graded work? Because I am frustrated. I'm completely reasonable. In this case, the teacher even said she actually misgraded an assignment in Power School, and the grade wasn't what I thought it was. I know that happens. I'm reasonable. I feel like I'm reasonable, but where's the work? You graded it. It's in Power School. Why are you not returning it to our kids? And I will say it writes in the teacher that wasn't returning tests and stuff, that the other parent that I know has emailed that teacher and all of the tests have been returned. My daughter was ecstatic to get all of her 100% test grades back. So even when you're getting a good grade, it's good to get it back. Anyways, that's 2 minutes. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you listening, and I look forward to maybe a little bit more information. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other call to the public, Dr. Sparks? Okay. All right. We are moving on to new business. The 2025-26 proposed revised calendar. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. President Reese, members of the board and public. President Reese, this one might strike a particular chord to you personally, given that you were the catalyst for noting this oversight or change. It was presented for first read, first consideration, I think when Mr. Bonner was still in the assistant superintendent's chair. And so now we have Mrs. Robinson, who's going to take the proverbial baton and hopefully help us move toward closure. So I'll defer to her for brief comments, and then I will make a recommendation in regards to this calendar.
Madam President, members of the board, thank you, Dr. B, and members of the community. As you know, it's our plan to always have a good plan in advance and look at non-traditional holidays as we create a schedule, provide opportunities for the community to look it over to the public 2 years in advance. And thank you for Madam President's diligence in knowing about the Texas Circuit, rodeo circuit, and how it could impact our schedule. So historically, rodeo break has been the third weekend or the third Thursday and Friday of February. So that's what it was planned for initially. And due to that newer information that we could not have planned more ahead for, it has been moved for school year 25-26 to February 26-27, making it the fourth week of February. We have changed it, put it up for review. We received 963 views and 5 entries. The theme of the 5 entries is basically sharing that aligning rodeo break with rodeo makes sense, right? So that's reaffirming. And also positive feedback in parent-teacher conferences being for this coming school year, mid-quarter, to provide families with the opportunity to support their students and for teachers to do the same. So that was a nice affirmation for that change that was already set within the schedule. And then the last thing was regarding the spring holiday. They understand that they would like it to be moved to a Good Friday, so to speak, but our holidays really meant, the spring holidays really meant to avoid a 7-week break in the fourth quarter and break it up a little bit better during the quarter that requires the most, physical and mental stamina, right? With your permission, Dr. Valenzuela, I would love for you to take it to the board for recommendation. It is still set at 180 days, balanced 90 in the fall semester, 90 in the spring semester, with a break in each quarter. And we will continue to work with the rodeo and the Texas Circuit information to make sure our rodeo breaks align, as we do with all things to make sure our families have time to plan ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. And at this point, as was mentioned, we've taken it through a process. You heard the feedback. I would recommend approval of the 25-26 revised calendar with the noted changes as has been noted.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I actually have 2 questions. So this is the calendar that goes out every year. No?
I believe that that's the case, yes, sir.
Okay, and then the second question is, not post the board meetings in this calendar when it goes out. Because I know we talk about we don't get participation. And so our schedule is posted on the website. But it does not go out in the newsletter that we send out, I believe.
Yeah, this one has always been, historically here, has been known as the quote, teaching calendar, or the academic calendar, as noted by testing, assessments, early release for things like that. The point is well noted and accurate that we do post all of the board meetings, and perhaps we can find additional ways to publicize them and to notify them. I think this one just has always had that particular focus there, Mr. Bruno.
Okay, that was my second question there. All right, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, and just the only thing that I have to say is thank you so much to the district for entertaining my going crazy with stuff when that came to my attention. So thank you very much for following up on it and double checking it with me, because it impacted another event that I was involved with, and Lee was starting to think I was losing my mind. So thank you very much. If there isn't any further discussion, we'll go ahead and vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to new business, acceptance of the fiscal year 2024 audit and compliance reports. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese, members of the board and public. As is required by state law, we, like all public school districts, are required to participate in an extremely thorough, extremely comprehensive process of formal audits. I can tell you firsthand that the taxpayers' dollars are well spent in the investment with Heinfield and Meach, with the thoroughness and the scope and the work they do and the value that it provides. They look at 20 categories. They're looking at budgets, expenditures, transportation, procurement, reporting, attendance, property. I mean, it's just an extensive list, and they scrutinize it. Lizette's going to do the hard work and tell you kind of maybe some of the highlights. My comment is, because at the end of the day, as your superintendent, I take very seriously the fact that we are the stewards of the public's trust and the public's dollar. And as the public's elected officials, this body is that role. So we take that with great seriousness. And so I'm pleased to say that, in summary, in my basic assessment, this is one of our best audit cycles ever. And you'll hear a little more about it. And I think it speaks to a lot of things, and a relentless team-oriented commitment to total quality. You get a group of very highly educated, highly trained CPAs that are doing their job and basically sampling different things. You will find some things, and that's good, because it gives us things to refine and to improve through communication and training. But in essence, it was a very healthy, productive, and positive audit. What else can you add to that, Lizette?
All right. Well, in your packet, you have three different reports. And just to kind of clarify, some of the one of them is the annual comprehensive financial report. And that is, I mean, it has everything in it. If you want to ever go to sleep, you can pick that up. No, I'm just joking. It's actually really exciting for someone like me. But if you read it, it's very comprehensive. And what it does is it basically gives the whole financial outlook of our district. It explains how many students, where we're at, how many miles, like it goes through everything. And we use this to get rated for our bonds. And as you know, we did sell our most recent bond, and because of our our reports and the good financial health of our district, we did earn a good credit rating, and we actually went up a credit rating because of that. So it is very comprehensive. Hello? Test.
You're back.
Test, I'm back. It goes into a lot of detail. The other item is a single audit report. And the single audit report is basically the report that we need to perform or have to have performed because we have federal revenues that that are over $750,000. And there were no audit findings in that report.
Monitor and adjust, right?
Thank you, Amber. Test, test, test. The next item is our actual USFR compliance questionnaire. And this is our compliance. And like Dr. Valenzuela mentioned, it goes over an array of different categories. And in each category, there's over 200 questions. First, I'd like to give a shout out to all of our team. This is not just something that I do on my own. The business office does a lot of the detail work behind the scenes, but also our schools, our attendance clerks, our transportation, recording all the miles, all of our inventories that we have to do at each school site. It's everyone's part, and everyone participates in this. Looking at their budgets, looking at their site budgets, going through their property control and their expenditures, working with us on travel and all of the nuances when it comes into travel. So I really appreciate everyone's hard work. IT is in there, and there's a lot of compliance things with technology now that we are advancing more and more every time. So I just want to give a kudos out because, and it's with genuine thank you to all of our staff, because it takes a village to get this done. And so this is a representative not just of the district as the business office, but more importantly of the district as a whole. And like Dr. Valenzuela mentioned, there are always some areas that we can work on, but they're very small in nature. One of them is we have like Manny, I give him a lot of kudos because a lot of things have to have 2FA with our technology. And we have one old system. It's our Time Clock Plus for administrators. So it's not even the actual system. Didn't have the 2FA. Not a problem. Once we got the audit finding, Christina, my team, and IT's team went full force. And I think as of next week, we have it up and running again. So that's how quickly this will turn around. They're minor, but very important. I understand that. So regardless if we put it in place now, we still get the audit finding for prior year. In regards to cash, we had one late deposit, and Susie has been made aware of that. So it was by a couple of days. We have monies that were deposited in the wrong fiscal year, and again, that was just because of personnel change. The monies were still deposited, and they were still deposited timely. It's just a matter of the personnel change that we had, and we identified the problem, and it has actually been corrected already. Another item was something that we have no control over, and that is for our JTED program. In that fund, there are certain funds that you can go into I call it negative, and that's only because they're grant oriented. And this specific fund, our JTED funds, is not grant oriented. We actually get a reimbursement from JTED in order to make ourselves whole by June 30th. We don't have any control of that. We have payroll coming out at the end all the way through June 30th, and we don't get reimbursed until the middle of July. We are working with JTED, the central campus, to make sure that there's a different way to maybe get the monies up front. I suggested maybe we have control of our own carry forward. If we had control of our own carry forward, then we wouldn't have this, because we do have a carry forward in this bucket. And so I think if we were able to manage our own carry forward, I think this would not have happened. But unfortunately, because they are our books and we don't have control of that, we did receive an audit finding on that. JTED is aware, and we're working with them. And kudos to Ken McGovern, who's been listening to us and trying to work with us. In relation to property and inventory, huge kudos to everyone. The things that we have to manage, and people are so sharing and caring of all of their items in each of the classrooms. It is almost impossible to manage all of the go back and forth, and the one of them was, I think, an instrument that was nicely lent out to Wrights and Ridge. We just didn't do the paperwork in order to do it. So there was no malintent, there's no bad initiative. It just happened. There was one instrument that was lent to from Walden Grove to Wrights and Ridge, and we just needed the paperwork. So again, we found it. It wasn't missing. We knew exactly where it was. So it's just those small little details. Another one was, I mean, in my mind, it's silly. The wolf mascot. It's not missing, not going anywhere. It was in one closet. And because it wasn't where they said it was initially, then right next door, we got the audit finding. So they're very small in nature, which is why I laugh about it. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? It's life. Things happen, and that's going to happen, and I'm okay with that. So we found it. It's not missing. Don't worry, Walden. You will have your mascot for upcoming games. That's not the issue. But again, I understand the importance of it, and making sure that those minor details are taken care of. The other items are student attendance, and I would say that kudos to our student attendance clerks, our SMRS team. I know that's a handful to say. They've been working very hard. They do constant training in regards to the area of attendance and ADM. As you know, attendance and ADM go hand in hand, and that's how we get funded. So their jobs are extremely important, and it's very, very like all the times have to be done. It's very detailed, if you will, for lack of a better term, and there's a lot of moving parts. Kids come in and out. They have to go to doctor's appointments. They have to come back. So identifying those, we do a really good job. And again, I just want to give kudos. There are some areas that were found as things that we need to work on, and Amber and her team are already on it, and they're working towards correcting those items and reconciling it with the state. So with that, that's my final report, unless anybody has any questions, Dr. V.
Well, thank you, Ms. Huey. And Ms. Huey gave a lot of kudos to others, but leadership matters, and she sets a bar that's really high. She sets those expectations with support of her team, and she models it like nobody else. So thank you, Lizette. And with that, I do my recommendation this evening is that the board accept the FY 2024 audit and compliance report as presented. With a roll call vote,
With a
thank
roll
you.
call vote. We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. Does anybody have any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes.
I think I've read this report a few times, and I think the first time I read this generally 120 plus page report, my head hurt a lot. But I think I like that she spends time to talk about the little things, right? Because I don't think people realize the level of accounting scrutiny in public education, right? If we look across the state, there are other educational institutions that have far less rigorous accounting practices. And so when I read this report, I look for the first statement from Heinfield Meach and Company. Does it materially demonstrate all of in all aspects accurately the reporting of the district? And that tells me, right, that means that there's no major fraud, right? And then when I read through and realize they find things like we didn't paperwork the transfer of an instrument, or a deposit was 3 days late. That's the level of scrutiny that finances go through at a true full public institution. When I say full, we can't transfer our budget off to a management company and hide it behind a management company wall. We have to be accountable for every dollar we spent. And this report is deep, and it's a public report. And I think so when I hear people talk about how we spend money, like if you want to know, we do not hide it. And I think I feel compelled to say this openly and in public. We are held to an exceptionally high standard, higher than even most businesses, like much higher. Like, do we count correctly the student that one day who left for third and fourth period to go to the dermatologist and come back? Do we count that correctly? I mean, it is that detailed. And I appreciate the work that your office does, Ms. It's a tremendous lift. I think sometimes on the outside people get frustrated. We're like, why do they make us do it that way? Well, because someone's watching over your shoulder saying it needs to be done the correct way. And it's not that we made these up and you didn't make it up. This is generally accepted accounting practices. So I'll get off my soapbox, but I think it's important people recognize or hear that as public officials, we're reading the report. And I mean, it doesn't give me a headache anymore. I move through it faster because I know what most things are, I know what they represent, and it's a terminology thing in a lot of ways too. But I'm grateful for the work, and I do agree. Like the largest thing on here was an account that we don't control went negative for a short period of time and was never going to be negative. We didn't overspend. They just didn't refill it fast enough. Well, it wasn't ours, right? But at the same time, they caught it, and we'll figure out a way to deal with it so it doesn't happen again. Right, so I think I'm grateful for the work and the effort, and I'm always grateful for, Heinfeld Meaching Company. They do a stellar job. So, thank you.
Can I add something to that? Dr. Sparks, I think what you mentioned is exactly that, is that working with our audit team, because not everything, we try to find ways to make things better. And I think that in all things, there's going to be red tape. And that's going to be okay. We can manage that, but there's always room for one, improvement, and then two, how can we still make it easier? Like, how can we still get to the end result by going through maybe something that we don't have to? Maybe we don't have to, this red tape isn't that important, and maybe we could still do the red tape, account for it, but make it easier for the end users, like our teachers and our volunteers and things of that nature. So we really do work directly with them and ask them the questions, because what's on paper versus what we really deal with on a day-to-day basis is very difficult, and they're two different worlds almost. So it's like, okay, we know they're here, but how do we get there? And one of them, one big one is our travel. How much different is our travel from like 5 years ago when we were having to count protein? I mean, that was ridiculous, right? So it's like, how do we get away? Do we have to do this? And why? And what is it costing us? So it's little things like that that I feel like you make a really valid point, and I'm grateful that our audit team is who they are and really work with us to try to still try to get to the end result, but how do we do it in real terms? And I think that's what's important.
Madam President,
Yes.
I just want to add, I appreciate that. I have seen, I remember when you took on this role, I think that was clear, I think, from the board's perspective at that time, like, please, like this, make sure we're doing things because we need to do them, not simply because that's how it's always been done. And I commend you. You have I have watched your department and your office change. There's always room. Right, but I see regular and consistent improvement. Travel was one, right? Instead of making the poor football coach put a $12,000 check in the bank and grab cash and drag it with him, we've got all that fixed. All of that stuff has gotten better, and they're all grateful for it. Down to everything, how we manage transportation, how we manage money, how we manage POs, and I really do commend you. Right, there's always room to grow, right? But at the same time, I can say from your predecessor when I came on the board 11 years ago to now, your office is a markedly different place. So thank you.
Any other discussion?
I'd sort of like to add something too. I too reviewed documents, and as somebody who has been through audits regularly, not to this extent, I was very impressed. And I've been through a couple other school audits here. And the thing that stood out at me was the pie chart and how the money is spent, and the fact that the majority of the money is spent on students, greater than 75%. And that stood out to me in looking at that pie chart. And so when we talk about our community and the money they put into our district, they can be assured that money is going towards students. That's a perfect example, and it's certified by the auditors, so I'm very thankful.
Any other discussion? I just want to sort of capstone Dr. Sparks's comments. Is that all of my children have come up through this school district from kindergarten, and I'm graduating my first this year. And at a time, I was very involved with one of the school booster organizations, support organizations, at one of the elementary schools. And even just in the time from when I came onto the board, even to today, it is so markedly different. And it's really, truly getting this sort of like customer focus. And that's our students, it's our teachers, it's our staff, it's whoever needs to do business within the district. And it is so much easier to get information than it has ever been before. And the amount of effort that you and your staff and IT and all of the cogs do in order which to make sure that people have the information that they need in order to make decisions and in order to get things done is so vastly different than it was even 6 years ago. And it's so greatly appreciated. And so thank you very, very much. So, yeah. So without any, if there's no more discussion, we'll go ahead and move into a vote. We do need to do a roll call vote. So I will go ahead to pass, say yes, to not pass, say no. And then I'll call the roll call. Dr. Sparks.
Yes.
Mr. Bruno.
Yes.
Ms. Petersmith.
Yes.
Denise Reese, yes. So motion carries. And then we will move on then to the next item of new business, the high school fire alarm systems. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. And seriously, thank you, members, for your thoughtful comments and for taking time to give that level of specific feedback, historical feedback, thoughtful feedback to Lizette and her team. She hears it from me all the time, but I think to hear it from all of you, and especially you've all been around here for years in different capacities, and so that specific feedback is really powerful. And it reminds us that really the greatest asset we have to the delivery of our vision of excellence and student success is our people in all departments at all levels, focused on the common purpose of helping these young people to grow and preparing them for the future. That's what we're here for, and our people are the greatest resource. And this next item is another example of that. We have an individual in our office, a member of our team named Florence Lopez. You might, speaking of someone who's been around a few years, Florence used to be the administrative assistant for Daryl Ross, and God rest his soul, when he was the facilities director. And she, through the efforts of Scott and Lisette, we found a new home for her, and that is in the business office. And she has been amazing in many ways. She has tremendous professional skills. But this school facilities board and their system of grants and opportunities to locate funding that we qualify for and are entitled to receive has been unbelievable. And this is another one. So she realized that we qualified for these grants, these improvement, these renewal grants. These two are, as you can see, when you do the math, they total over $1 million. But they're a lot of work and a lot of detail, and they're very voluminous. But basically, what this is not, well, this is ultimately, it's all public money, but it's not local money. But yet, by procuring this state money that we qualify for, it allows us to leverage the resources that are available to advance the delivery of our mission. And this has to do with fire alarm systems. I don't think of Walden Grove High School as old, because I remember when we were building it and when it opened, but the system has become, and we know with technology, these things become antiquated very rapidly. So we qualified for new, more modern fire alarm systems at both high schools. And by the way, there are more, as part of our phased improvement process, there's more that are coming for some of the other main campus schools. But the first one is for Walden Grove High School, and it's in the amount of $316,485. Sahuarita's is more, $711,771. My guess is It has to do with the relative age differences in standards and systems and requirements to bring them up to the current standard. So you can see that the total there is north of $1 million, right? And we're just grateful through this collective resourceful effort to continue to move our mission forward at the highest level. And I do recommend at this time approval of the guaranteed maximum prices as listed in your packets. And as I just mentioned publicly, acceptance of the SFB funding and the core construction GMPs for these fire alarm systems for Walden Grove and Sahuarita High Schools.
And just really quickly, and I'm just seeking clarification, do we need to take this in two separate motions, one for Walden, one for Sahuarita, or can we do them together?
I would say because they were clumped as one GMP, you can do them collectively. They are one
Okay.
item, yeah.
All right, perfect. So we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the GMPs for both the Walden Grove and Sahuarita High School fire alarm system upgrades. Sure, we'll go with upgrades. Does anyone have any discussion?
Madam President.
Yes.
I do want to publicly say, I think Florence, I remember the first time I ever interfaced with Florence has always been, it was always a good experience. It was when she was managing the facility scheduling, pre-facility scheduling system, pre-annualized single date submission, like way back in the, the days of Melee. I mean, and probably prior to his gap in service, he probably did too, but always positive. But I think we regularly, and she is to be commended on her capacity and expertise and professionalism of obtaining these. I think I would probably not, I don't know the exact numbers, but I probably would not be amiss to say we set the bar as a district for obtaining consistent grant money out of the school facilities. But I hate the word grant because, like, really, the state owns these facilities. We need to fix them. But we set the bar, I think. I've talked to a lot of other districts. They're like, how do you guys do that? Well, it's a lot of that falls on Florence. Right. So I just had to say that publicly because I think it's a tremendous dollar amount. I mean, not just this one, right? I mean,
I agree, yeah. And
millions.
there's been millions of others, and there's not millions of others, but millions of dollars in other projects.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, Dr. Sparks, that yes, tremendous kudos to Florence because she does an amazing job. She knows it inside and out. And she knows the way she's calling SFB if she doesn't get, she is full force and she will make sure that we get the money. Another key part of that is the partnership that we have with CORE and Swain, because she's asking them for a lot of information, right, Scott? Scott's very aware. He's in those meetings as well. And without that collaboration, she couldn't do her job the way that she does it. She runs with it, she gets that information, but having those key partnerships and people who want to help play in that sandbox, because it's not easy. And I'm telling you, the work that they even do is a lot. I could call it's not necessary, in my opinion, for the SFB and all the things that you need to go through to actually get the money. But they're willing to play that with us. And so they're willing to get in the sandbox and give Florence, and really, she's the go-getter, yes, but it takes a big team, and we can't do it without them. So I just wanted to add that.
That is a very good point. This is a team effort, and it's the power. How long have we been working together with CORE and with Swayman Associates? And it's the power of relationships. And those folks are vested in our community and in our projects and willing to do whatever it takes to advance the work because together we believe in it.
Mm-hmm. Any other discussion? Okay. Do we need a roll call on this one?
I don't believe
Okay.
it requires a roll call.
Perfect. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Dr. Valenzuela.
We have arrived at the consent agenda, and you do have in your packets a comprehensive list of items that may be considered in one motion, and I do recommend approval of the consent agenda in its entirety at this time.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are at the possible future agenda consideration. Does any board member know of any future agenda considerations they'd like to hear about? Okay. Seeing none, we'll establish our next board meeting. We will be meeting here on April 9th, 2025, here in Pod B. Details will be on the website. There is no executive session this evening, so I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you and have a good evening.